Welcome from the deep. I am Mike the Finder.
And I am Book of Brett.
And today we are going to be talking about the 1983 film 10 to Midnight. Now you might be asking,
it's a documentary.
You might be asking yourself, what's 10 to Midnight? Because that's what we asked ourselves right before watching this movie.
Or you might also be asking yourself, as three other people have to me, who's Charles Bronson?
No, get the fuck out of here, really?
Yep. I've had other people go, who's Charles Bronson? Jonah, our friend Jonah, looked up Charles Bronson and found the convicted felon in the UK. And spoiler alert, also not an actor.
Yeah, so 10 to Midnight stars actor, not convicted felon Charles Bronson.
Right.
As seen here. He is pretty infamous. Death Wish, Once Upon a Time in the West, The Great Escape, The Magnificent Seven. Like, dude, we could just, look, 162 acting credits to his name.
Yep.
Insane. And if we were to, just go down them, the amount of shit that's in here is crazy.
He's your, oh my God, why am I blanking on it? He's your stepdad's Chuck Norris.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were the generation above us is the people that maybe even two generations above us were the people that he was really popular with.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's definitely not Chuck Norris. He's Chuck Norris adjacent.
You're right. He's definitely not Chuck Norris.
He's like if Matlock and Chuck Norris had a baby.
Dude, I'm still scrolling through these acting credits.
Yeah, dude, he was in a ton of shit.
Fucking crazy. So anyway, a quick story, little anecdote about why we watched this movie. Not a few.
Yes, exactly. This is what we're always trying to tell you guys.
So last week, I was looking at my DVD case that's behind me here if you're watching, and I was
library. He keeps calling it a case as if it's like this one box set.
There are several more there's a lot more over here that you can't see. Anyway, the DVD library, as you so call it, behind me here. I was looking at it and I was thinking there are a lot of things on this shelf that I have never seen. And so I started thinking about, well, what's the best way to just start going through all of them? And I have them separated into releasing companies. And the first company I have on the shelf up here is Scream Factory. And so I was looking at what's the very first thing on my shelf, and it is 10 to Midnight.
Because it's a number. That makes sense.
Yes.
It's a number.
Yeah, it's a number.
So,
right.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've had this on my shelf for many a year.
That's a pretty dope cover.
It's a very cool cover, yeah. But I've had the Scream Factory Collector's Edition with the slip, on my shelf for a while, and I've just never watched it. I've been meaning to get around to it. You can see in real big letters here it says Charles Bronson. So other
That's
people,
a man's name, by the way.
Yeah, it's a real manly man's name.
I like to call him Chuck Bro for short.
Chuck Bro. But other people obviously know who he is. Otherwise, his name wouldn't be in real big fucking letters here on the case. So I don't know. This is just
about Ron Jeremy.
This is just the first DVD that was on that shelf, and so I picked it up and I thought I'm going to watch this. And we were looking for something to review, and as I told you when I suggested it, this is a strangely compelling movie.
Yes.
There's something very oddly compelling about not only Charles Bronson in this, but the story and the film as a whole, because it's
I'm a selfish man.
It's
Chuck.
It's very 80s, but it's also it's almost like a real life version of I don't know if you played LA Noire. That's almost what it feels like, because
yes.
you can feel that they're going for a very noir detective style movie, but it's also got a little bit of horror, slasher, and giallo elements mixed up with a whodunit, and it makes this very interesting, compelling film.
And because he is a genre in of himself, we get a little bit of Wilford Brimley dosed in there.
Yeah.
That
was a pleasant surprise.
When I saw it, I went, Brittany! And from the other room, she goes, what? And I went, diabetes!
Diabetes.
And because that's just him, you can't see him without thinking diabetes.
Diabetes.
And he's in here, and holy shit, Wilford Brimley was a good actor.
Yeah, he was. I mean, there was a reason.
Liked him.
There's a reason that he was, so famous and famous enough that they were like, "Hey, come do our diabetes medication commercials."
Yep, he used to be a stuntman. Did you know that?
That I did not know. No, I did not know he used to be a stuntman.
He was a stuntman, and then he became an actor, and then he became diabetes incarnate.
Diabetes incarnate.
He is diabetes.
So, anyway, 10 to Midnight from 1983 here. This is directed by J. Lee Thompson. It's written by William Roberts, J. Lee Thompson. It stars Charles Bronson, Lisa Eilbacher, and Andrew Stevens. And I got to tell you, man, this was strangely interesting. I had no idea what to expect going into this because of how, 80s cop movie it felt at the beginning, especially right there before the opening credits. You keep repeating the line over and over again. What's he say right there before the opening credits?
I'm a selfish man. All I care about is the case and something else that Brett can't remember right now.
I'm a mean, selfish son of a bitch. I know you want a story, but I want to kill her, and what I want comes first.
It's this badass opening line of something that's
because he's actually got a more high-pitched voice than I thought Charles Bronson was going to.
He does,
and he's got a lisp. Yeah. So it's more like, I'm a selfish man. It's like he's like a white Mike Tyson.
It's not that bad.
It's pretty prevalent.
All right. Well, do you want to go ahead and give us a synopsis of 10 to Midnight?
Yes. 10 to Midnight is American Psycho from the cop's perspective. Because I just kept seeing the serial killer, and for some reason, he resonates, he just gives me this Christian Bale vibe, and I feel like...
He does.
I feel like he's like...
It's the dead eyes.
Christian Bale's character in American Psycho, if he was constantly throwing a 5-year-old temper tantrum. That's the vibe I got. But no, in all seriousness, this is a cop thriller that borders on slasher horror, starring Charles Bronson, Wilford Brimley, and other people that don't fucking matter. And it is about them trying to track down a serial killer who I'm going to go out on a limb and say is a virgin. Because he gives me virgin vibes. The way he hits on women gives me virgin vibes. The way he reacts to his sexual prowess or lack thereof gives me virgin vibes. And the whole time I'm sitting here going buddy, I want to feel bad for you, but it's not in the ways you want me to.
Do you remember whenever I did the review for New Year's Evil, and I think I titled it Incel Slasher or something like that? That is what kept running through my head when I was watching this movie, because he's a straight incel, and it's incel before incel was known to be a thing, and he's just this angry white guy that's creepy to women,
but also
doesn't. Yeah, but he's good looking, but he doesn't understand why his behavior turns women off so badly. So he's really angry at women for not liking him. So it's this really weird. He has this really weird relationship with women where he's very upset with them, but it's his own fault.
Do you remember that incel kid that got famous, and he was the son of a Hollywood producer?
No.
Do you remember that? Go look that up at some point. It's this story if that kid had more balls, but he didn't because he's a little bitch, and now he's dead. But
Cool story, bro.
Yeah, but no. I say that because this did remind me of that. Of where it's like, dude, you're good looking, and really your biggest problem is that you're a whiny bitch. Like this killer is a whiny.
That's the thing,
bitch.
though, dude. He's like really smart. Like,
Yes. The whole getting naked thing is actually very smart.
yeah, it is, but it's also
kinda
like
sexy. It's a little
the
sexy.
thing that really set off like, oh, this could be the first 10 minutes of this film are so fucking compelling because you get to follow him through his entire process of like killing. And he makes this whole big stink about being seen in the movie theater so that he can have an alibi without actually like, having to rely on friends to lie or anything like that. So right off the bat, you get this view. Yeah, because he doesn't have any. But right off the bat, you get this view of how like smart and intelligent he is and how much he's actually thought through the entire thing.
Well, that's kind of the infuriating part is like all of his brain power is put into killing women after they reject him for his poor advances, i.e. the theater scene.
Or calling them on the phone. And
I like it right here and putting his arm around like buddy, stop. What are you doing? Stop. And so
well, I mean, initially I thought that was because he was like trying to make an impression on these girls.
Yes, that's
so
what
that
I'm
he
saying.
could have an alibi, and then you come to find out that that's just how he interacts with women.
Yes,
but doesn't see a problem with it. So
because he's, we'll say, damaged. I'm gonna go with this guy's a wee bit damaged.
All right. Well, why don't you tell me what you thought about this film? I'll tell you what I thought about it. We will keep it spoiler free for now because there are some little spoiler things that we're going to need to talk about the entire film here, but we will let you know before we start doing that. So why don't you go ahead and tell me what you thought about 10 to Midnight Broad Strokes?
Dude, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm not going to lie. I called you at the title card and made fun of it. Thinking, oh, fuck, here we go. Thinking, this is what I thought.
You literally said you liked this, didn't you? You liked this, didn't you?
I did. I said, I see why you like this. I know exactly why you like this, because this has, like, slasher vibes, but it's also, like, fucking terrible, and you love terrible shit. Unironically love terrible shit. No, you do. No. There's a difference between saying your taste is terrible and saying you like terrible shit. You are conscious of shit being terrible, but also like it. Don't switch back over to yourself. This part isn't about you. Put the camera back on me. Put it back on me. Thank you. Okay, so I did call you and say, hey, I know why you like this, and I made fun of it. And then I started getting into it, and I went, oh shit, this is like good. Like the cinematography is good. They were able to take elements of old school slasher films, like with the POV shots, like you would see from a lot of old horror movies. But then we've got like this like neo-noir aspect to it. The whole thing is a mishmash of a bunch of different genres that I gotta say, man, I wasn't fucking expecting. I was not expecting it to be the way that it was. I wasn't expecting it to play out the way that it did. And I was not expecting to actually enjoy this. This was a movie I thought halfway through I was going to have to get drunk to either pass out early or start enjoying. And I didn't have to indulge in any of my substance abuse problems, which was great. Back to you.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. Broad strokes. You said broad strokes.
Okay.
It doesn't get much more broad than that. Don't give me a platform and then shoot me down from it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. If that's all you want to say, that's fine. No, I'm just giving you shit. Yeah, dude.
Hate you so goddamn fuck. No, shut the fuck up. I want everybody to know how much I hate you. Let it linger.
So anyway.
Okay, go ahead.
I kind of felt the same way, dude. Like the first 5 minutes or so, I was sitting there thinking, oh, this is going to be like a really bad cop movie.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to put Charles Bronson in the role of a cop and just let him spout off one-liners and look cool in a suit while smoking cigarettes and busting Johns and shit like that. Like, it's so easy to do that, but I think it's...
Johns are for prostitutes.
Yes. I know.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
He's busting okay. Regardless. Anyway, so it's really easy to put him in that role, but I think because we have elements of, like you said, slashers, it's 1983, so we're still right in the middle of the slasher boom, so I can see why the director and the writer were like, hey, let's take a slasher and sort of mix it with a detective movie. Like I said earlier, this sort of reminds me of a Giallo in the way that like it unfolds and is set up, but it's very like Americanized and very, it's much easier to swallow, as it were. Anyway, I don't know. I was really, really surprised by this because of the noir vibes, the slasher vibes. The killer is awesome, despite how much of an incel he is. He has great motivations for doing the things that he's doing. You really get a good feel for who he is, which is something that a lot of slashers, like more recently, don't do anymore, because it's a lot of like, ooh, who's doing the slashing? Like in Thanksgiving and like, you know, all the like 90s slashers tropes that have come after this movie. But I think it's really refreshing to go back and see a thriller that has all of these different elements mixed in together to make this really fun, interesting, like totally all over the place movie, and the ending is fucking awesome. I love how everything ends. Toward the hour mark, I was sitting there thinking like, oh, we still have 40 minutes because we've already gotten him into a courtroom. What are we going to do with the rest of these 40 minutes? And it reminded me of when Oppenheimer switches over into the courtroom scene where you're like, where is this going to go? It's not quite that impactful, but it's got that same vibe of like, what the fuck? We've already been through the whole tropes. We've done all the tropes. Why do we have 40 minutes left? So in that way, it's really interesting and compelling. And I just, dude, this is a great movie. I really, really loved this.
I do. We are going to get into it. I do have a bit of a problem with the way that it ends. Like the very, very end. Like the last, like literally the last 2 minutes. But not in a, like, it ruined it for me. Just in a, come on, dude, kind of way. But we'll get into that.
If you haven't seen this, go watch this. If you're into old cop movies, if you're into old horror movies, gore, there's not a ton of gore, but there is some of that in there. It's very toned down, considering this was made in 83. A lot of boobs. But it's a very fun, interesting movie. And I think that if you haven't seen it and you're into those things, definitely go check it out. It's on Tubi right now. Who knows how long it'll be on Tubi. But as of the recording of this video, it is on Tubi for free. We'll put that, we'll link that down in the description. But I do want to talk a little bit spoilers for the people that have seen this. Here, I want to talk about the last like 5 minutes or so of this movie, because we get, like I said, the first hour is us kind of going through all the tropey stuff and we catch the bad guy. And then we come to find out that Charles Bronson put the blood onto the clothes of the killer to set him up so that he would have some evidence to get him into court. So the next 46 minutes or whatever it is basically them going through court. Charles Bronson has a change of heart. He says, hey, he tells the judge like that I set this up. And so after that, it's kind of like the movie is ending.
Somehow doesn't go to jail. Yeah. Nowadays he definitely would. I don't know about 1983, but definitely be going to jail for that. But he goes back home that night and the movie is kind of like, oh, everything's better now, Dad. And then he gets a phone call. And it's the killer. And the killer's like, you tried to set me up and kill me, motherfucker. Now I'm going to come kill you. And Charles Bronson goes, not if I see you first. And the next scene, the next fucking scene is him
pulling up next to the killer, and the killer's like, what the hell are you doing? That's not how this is supposed to play out. And he just starts fucking with him and starts hanging up pictures of his victim in his workplace and like just starts fucking with him.
Ruining his life.
And it is amazing. It's amazing.
Well, it's amazing, but it's also part of the problem that I have with this movie. Because like I said, I did enjoy it, but the biggest problem I have with this movie is it's almost like glorification of police corruption, where it's just like, hey, look at this cop being a terrible cop. We have to
do what's right, not what's lawful type shit, but what's right gets designed in my head.
Hey, motherfucker, you're on a real slippery slope right now. Yeah. Maybe back the fuck off a little bit.
I will agree with that. This movie is a little bit of cops get to play judge, jury, and executioner type shit. Yeah, I definitely agree with that for sure.
This is like the police version of like Black Hawk Down military propaganda films,
right?
In that sense, to an extent. Now, it doesn't take it quite as seriously. It's very, very clear that we are not in some real world situation or one that is going to conjure up emotions like that. But there are parts of this movie that make me go, do I hate Charles Bronson now? Because I liked Charles Bronson up until now. I think I hate him right now.
No, I think that he's such a good actor that he plays this role so well that it's easy to hate him because of it.
There are moments where I was like, did we want to maybe give Charles another take on that line?
Yeah.
But overall, he's very, very good in this. This part of the movie that you're talking about is where I started getting very conflicted, though, because a part of me is going like, okay, this is a lot of fun to watch. And the other part of me is going, I'll bet there's a real cop story that this is based in as far as like harassing people and breaking the law to bring people to justice.
Yeah.
Like there has to be some reality to that, right?
The part of it is though is like you're sort of leaving out the part of where like, you know, this is a horrible, awful murderer. So it's okay and justified.
We don't know that. I mean, we know that.
We know that.
I mean, know that.
He does though. It is funny because when they play the recorded prank call, quote unquote prank call that they have, and then immediately play him speaking in the interrogation room back to back. It's so blatantly obvious that it's the same fucking person, even though he's like trying to put on this fake accent.
That means Peter, and I've got the biggest one.
Yeah, it's the stupidest fucking shit. But anyway, the thing that really impressed me about this movie is the last 5 minutes, because he flips the fucking script. The next scene is him going, nuh-uh, and he pulls up next to him. He starts fucking with his life over and over again, and his cop buddy comes up to him, and he's like, dude, you're going to get your throat slit by this guy if you keep fucking with him, because he is a killer. We all know he's a killer, even though we didn't prove it in court. Everyone knows that he's a killer. So you're going to end up getting hurt. And Charles Bronson is like, fuck yeah, let him try to come after me. Because he turns around and takes shit into his own hands. Because the killer's like, yeah, I'm crazy. And he starts acting crazy because that's what his lawyer told him to do earlier.
Yep.
And so he just starts acting crazy. And Charles Bronson is like, I'm not going to let you just...
And that's where I come in with the biggest problem, because in front of the entire police force, he just goes, nah, and just commits cold-blooded murder.
Shoots him in the face.
In front of the entire police force. It's like, I get it is the most logical ending. I will give you that.
I really wanted a Scanners type thing. Like, I really wanted him to shoot him in the head and just to have that scene from Scanners where his fucking head explodes. Like, that's what I wanted.
I'm really glad they didn't do that, because that would not have fit the vibe they were going for. But I will say, part of me did have a problem with the whole, like, you're just going to kill him dead. Clearly, shoot an unarmed man in the head in front of the entire police force.
I mean, I took it as he definitely got arrested after that, for sure. I took it as, like, they did not all just watch him do that and then nothing happened. We just didn't see what happened after that, because they dolly out and fucking let you kind of, bring up your own ending. Make your own ending.
Give you a scene that I'm pretty sure Die Hard ripped off at the end of Die Hard.
It does feel like
it feels like the ending to Die Hard.
It does feel very Die Hard-esque, yes. Or Die Hard feels very
to be
10 to
clear,
Midnight-esque.
Yes. To be clear, it did not ruin the movie for me. Just part of me went, really? Okay, fine, I'll accept it. That was kind of like my reaction to the ending.
I mean, I don't know. I think that he was willing to give up, the rest of his life, just whether that be being killed by the police or being put in jail for the rest of it, in order to take him off the streets. I think that's really what it comes down to. But when we start framing it as this is a cop propaganda film, it does take on a different meaning, which is not how I was watching this at all. So I think I enjoyed it more than you did because of that.
Let's be honest. This is the LAPD in the 80s. There's no way Charles Bronson is getting charged for shooting this guy in the head.
That's the thing, though, is like you also have to remember that this movie is very much a product of its time for action films and cop films and noir movies. All of those things play a part in why this movie plays out the way that it does and feels the way that it does. So it's very much a product of its time. All right, well, why don't we go ahead and move into ratings and our final thoughts about this movie? Do you want to go first?
I do. I am. So 10 to Midnight is, it's a lot of fun. It's not what you're expecting. I promise. Whatever you think it is not. And that is a good thing. That is a good thing. It's a good thing for viewers. It's a bad thing for the movie. I feel like that happens a lot, where you'll have a movie that that goes a direction you're not expecting, and it's great for the viewer that actually goes to watch it. It's bad for the movie because people are expecting one thing, and if they're expecting that thing, then they miss out on a good viewing experience. You know what I mean? So overall, though, I am going to give 10 to Midnight a 7 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I was going to give it a 6 out of 10, but then Wilford Brimley showed up, and I just went, God damn it, Wilford Brimley, here's your star. And so I decided that I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. But no, seriously, it deserves a 7 out of 10. It's a lot of fun. It's not the shitty cop movie I was expecting. I was expecting something along the lines of like Chuck Norris in Walker, Texas Ranger. And it's not that cheesy. It's actually, the dialogue is good. The cinematography is good. Everything we always say that goes into a good movie is in this movie. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we haven't talked about a lot, is the cinematography is all really good. This is actually... It's actually surprising at how good some of the shots are in this movie, considering it's like a shallow kind of slashery cop movie. The other side of that is because they're trying to make this feel like a modern day noir movie. You can just tell the people that directed and edited and wrote this wanted this to feel like a noir slasher, which is exactly what the fuck this is. This is so far up my alley. It's not even funny. I loved every goddamn second of this movie. I thought it was so much fun. I have watched it twice now. Originally, I rated it as a 7 as well. The second time around, I rated it as an 8. Even when I knew what was coming, it still holds up on a rewatch, and I loved it. I thought this was really, really fun. And if you're into slashers, if you're into noir movies, cops, giallos, any of that stuff, you're going to love this movie if you haven't seen it. Charles Bronson is a badass, and the ending of this movie is great. So
Charles Bronson.
All right. Well, if you like this, make sure you hit the like button. If you really liked it, make sure you hit the subscribe button, because we got more content like this on the channel. And thanks for watching. We know we haven't been super consistent lately, and we've been playing around with just the way that we've been presenting this whole thing, and I think that's going to continue to change over the next few weeks. We've got some ideas on how we can change this channel for the better and just make it more entertaining to watch. So we're going to be implementing some stuff like that coming in the next few weeks, and that should be really fun. So either way, thanks for anybody that's stuck with us, and we appreciate it. So we'll see you guys next time from the deep. Bye-bye.